Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and I hope you're doing fantastic. I'm doing a lot better. I was under the weather. But something I've noticed over the years, I guess, is like even when you kind of get a little under the weather, especially like during the day, it's like you'll be fine. Like everything will be good, no congestion, sneezing, coughing, whatever. But then at night, it's like it all comes back. It's the coughing and the sneezing and all that. And I'm like, how does that happen? I mean, is it to do with the fact that we're laying down, or is it to do with the sun and moon or whatever, or is it to do with circadian rhythm? Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that I've noticed over the years. And yeah, yeah, so there's that. Also, please, if you would, give this video a like. I would really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you have not. Also, would greatly appreciate that. I'm originally an audio podcaster, and I am still doing the audio podcast bi-weekly right now, but I'm going to go back to weekly in the very near future. But these videos it's been a lot of fun. So there's that. What I wanted to talk with you about is, a couple of things, but there's an American physicist named John Wheeler. Now, I'm not super familiar with John Wheeler, not as much as a lot of people are, probably, but he came up with what is called the observer effect. Now, in the observer effect, he states that based on our attention and our beliefs and expectations, when we observe, we don't just see, but we influence the behavior of events or whatever in the field, in reality, in the universe. And a good way of, I guess, a good example of this would be the double slit experiment. Now, I have on the podcast a couple of times, I think, tried to explain the double slit experiment and kind of butchered it, but I'm going to go ahead and give it another try right now. But in the double slit experiment, there was a group of scientists who set up an experiment. And they said there was a wall that had two slits in it. Okay, one here, and then there was a back wall that was flat. And they set up a machine that would begin randomly firing electrons towards the wall with the slits. And they set this up, and what they expected to happen was for the electron or particle, whatever, to go through either this slit or that slit, hit the back wall, forming a line here and a line forming two lines on the back wall. All right. So they set it up and they leave. I don't know, maybe go get some lunch or whatever. And then when they come back, and when they came back, they noticed that it didn't do it at all what they expected. They were like, what had happened was on that back wall, it had created what you call an interference pattern, which is basically a bunch of lines, like waves. And how you can visualize that is like if you were to take two pebbles and drop them in water, this pebble creates the ripple from here, this one creates this ripple from here. Eventually, the ripples from each one kind of intermingle, and cause what is known as an interference pattern. And that interference pattern hit that back wall, and that's what happened. They're like, how did that happen? This machine is shooting out one at a time, but the only way this could happen is if the one particle went through both slits at the same time. Now, how's that possible? They're like, turn the machine back on. Let's watch and see what happens. So they turn the machine on. But this time, exactly what they expected to happen is what had happened. The particle went through either this slit or that slit and made a line on the two lines on the back wall, as expected. They're like, well, that's weird, So they're like, maybe these particles are just trying to be slick, Maybe they're just trying to be slick. They're going to do what we expect them to do when they know we're looking. So let's not look. We'll set up a camera, though. We'll set up a camera, pointed at it, and we'll leave. We won't watch it. Okay, so they did. They set the camera up. They turned it on. They turned the machine back on. They left. Came back a little while later, and still the line, the pattern on the back wall was just the either or, two lines, meaning the particle went through either this slit or that slit. No, not both. It's like, huh. Well, not only are these particles slick, but they think they're smart too. So here's what we're going to do next. So they began conspiring amongst themselves. I'm kind of dramatizing this. So they began conspiring amongst themselves. They're like, well, what we're going to do next is we'll leave the camera there and we'll leave the room, but we're going to turn the camera off. Okay. So they'll think they're being watched by the camera. The particles will think they're being watched by the camera, but they're really not. So they do that. And they leave again and turn the machine on and whatever. They come back later, and what's there but the interference pattern? The ripple effect is back again, indicating that the particles were not fooled by the camera sitting there unplugged. They knew they were not being observed. So, yeah, they are slick and very smart. So it's like, well, so all this tells us is that if they're not being observed, then they are what's called potentiality or possibility. They could be this, they could be that, they could be here, they could be there, they could just be anything. It's all potentiality. So I wish there was a conventional answer for the double slit experiment. In fact, maybe I don't, because that is a very cool thing, right? Double slit experiment is super cool, and it proves to us that whatever we focus on, whatever our expectations are, is what will be. But if we're not focusing on it, it's just potential, which is amazing. Now, another good example of this and how our attention affects the field. There was another experiment that was done by these scientists, and it was set up with some random number generators. So they set up these random number generators randomly around the world in some undisclosed location. And then they also had people scattered about around the world, undisclosed location, randomly, I'm assuming. And they turned on the random number generators, and every so often they'd put out a number. And it, in fact, was very random and whatever. But then they told the people that they had selected, they said, okay, everybody focus on this one number. So they did. Whenever these people all started focusing on one number, somewhere in the world, somewhere else in the world, these random number generators all of a sudden started putting out that number more often than any other. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? So they even went as far as to say, okay, change it up. First time they were maybe focusing on the number 4. Then they're like, okay, now let's do 63 or whatever. They changed the numbers up. They moved things around. The world, I mean, this is global. They moved things around, and they were like, well, so when these people randomly began focusing on a number somewhere in the world, the random number generator, somewhere else in the world, then begins producing that number more often than any other. That's profound. It really is. And what it tells us is, like the old saying goes, where attention goes, energy flows, right? but these people were able to, with their directed attention, affect the field, affect what's going on in the field of existence, in the field of in our reality. That's amazing. Yeah. And John Wheeler, the guy with the observer effect, I have a really cool quote by him. John Wheeler, the author of the observer effect, he says, "We are participants who bring the universe into existence." What that means is that the universe is not really fixed. See, we've been programmed to believe that the universe and everything that's here, everything that is everything, is fixed. It is what it is, and that's it. But John Wheeler, with the observer effect, shows us that whatever we focus on, whatever we choose to observe, becomes manifest, which tells us the universe is moldable. It is pliable. We can mold it, shape it, and turn it into and bring into existence the things that we want to do based on where we focus our attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. But see, that's also true for the negative, because there's a lot of people who will focus their attention on the things that they don't want. Right? I mean, how many times have you heard people, they're scared of disease or financial hardship or whatever, and they're praying, they're like, oh my God, please no, please no, please no, please no. You're focusing all of your attention and subsequently your energy on the thing that you don't want. And sorry, but that tends to be what becomes manifest. Wouldn't it be better to focus our attention on the things that we do want rather than what we don't want? Would it be better to choose to observe the things that we do want to see rather than the things that we don't want to see? So that's what I want to do, loved one. I want to encourage you to focus on the things that you do want in your life. Focus on the things that are going to be good for you and the people that are in your life. And will you make the world a better place? I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't believe that's what our purpose here is. It's to learn and grow and things like that. And, oh, by the way, while we're here, we may as well make the best of it, right? But we are learning that we are very powerful co-creators. And that's that. So anyway, loved ones, again, please like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. And make sure I didn't miss anything. No, I did not. Yes. So that's what I got. I love you. I really do. And I will be back directly.